Whether this is your first time on the Spector Creative channel or your 942nd, you know this is a channel that talks about toys. And a lot of the toy category we talk about is action figures. It happens to be my favorite category, one that I've worked on professionally and collected for most of my life. And a lot of us have transformed our places of work, like my friend Chris's studio, or our extra bedroom, or man cave, or woman cave, or man, woman, thing, cave. Whatever lives in a cave gets toys. Now, we're very emotionally connected to our toy collections, and there's this eternal struggle between the collector and looking at these billion-dollar toy companies, wondering why they don't focus more on our needs, because we're loud, we're here, we have money to spend, we want stuff. And of course, the consequence is we wind up with things that aren't always, meeting our needs, such as half-filled teams where you don't get every member, and you wind up with sort of an incomplete shelf. I always feel like a toy line has to be shelf worthy. That's the pact between customer and company. Or when a toy comes out that's an awesome character you've been waiting for, but it's not quite the version of the character you want. These are the kind of little things that drive us crazy and are huge, big deals. And the reason toy companies don't look at them as huge deals is because of how small we are. If you believe me, if I said that we were 1% of the total toy industry, well, that's completely not true. We are actually 1/2 of 1% of the toy industry. And by toy industry, I mean the entire toy industry, meaning licensed toys, meaning toy company created toys, water toys, summer toys, outdoor toys, art toys. There's a huge number of categories. And yes, if you include everything, then you're looking at, I usually tell clients the adult collector market is about $500 million in total, which, is a nice chunk of change, and that's absolutely worth chasing. However, if you look at that in relationship to the toy industry in total, and just to do kind of like one of my old bosses at Mattel used to call these sniff tests. So looking at the size of the global toy industry per Google, it's $90.4 billion. So that means $452 million is half of 1%. So hey, I'm pretty darn close in my estimate of 500,000. That's just sort of like a back of the matchbox math. All right, now what's commonly now called the Kidult market, that's the official industry term for adult collectors. Well, obviously there is lots of different categories, and again, I know this tends to be an action figure driven channel, but I am fans of all toys and many toys, and you see the adult collectible or Kidult market include everything from figures to dolls to vehicles, and you see companies having large collector online clubs and support. Now, a lot of the ones that you see for things like Hot Wheels or Barbie is because they're major brands at retail. Other things like Trolls, well, there's not as much of a market for vintage Trolls if you're not this woman. And the collector market also includes this stuff, guys. So if you're digging for mana or manifesting it or harnessing it, yeah, you're also contributing to the $500 million Kidult market. So yes, there's a lot of players in it. So it's a good chunk of change, but it's split up amongst many, many players. And if you look at a large company, like in this case, let's look at Hasbro. All right, they're about a $13 billion company. So really, if you're looking at things like preschool toys and the huge number of preschool toys that are sold each year, I mean, preschool is the fastest growing category by far. It just, because people keep having babies. What can I say? And when you're having a young child, you panic and you buy toys. All right, so that all brings us to this: Lego sets that are aimed directly at this adult collector market. So we see the struggle with a lot of toy companies that don't produce enough, or the characters are we like them, but it's not quite the one we wanted. The articulation's not right. Well, Lego takes a very different approach, and they're in a very unique position to do this. Over the past few years, we've seen them reinvent the line. While it used to be when we were kids, you basically, well, by we, I mean like those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. I know there's younger people who watch this. You had space, you had medieval, which, boy, did I love those medieval sets, like those Robin Hood figures, and then town. Those were kind of the three zones that Lego produced. And you could, of course, mix and match and make anything you wanted to, and it was always really fun when you could take, the medieval royal chariot and have it march down Main Street, because, that's what kids do. Hey, it's awesome. Or maybe there's promoting medieval times here. I don't know. It's confusing. It looks like some kind of British set. I do remember in particular when Lego introduced Pirate as kind of like the fourth class. I was over the moon, and my parents thought I was growing too old for Lego, but they got it for me anyway. Well, again, looking at current Lego sets, you don't see these simplistic concepts: city, space, medieval. In fact, space has actually purposefully been moved out because Star Wars takes that up, and if you put out Lego space, it would, in a way, cannibalize the Star Wars Lego set of SKUs. So that's one of the reasons we see less of that. We do see some realistic space sets, but we don't see the fantasy stuff. That's really going to Star Wars. And the realistic sets actually bring us full circle right back around to the fact that Lego is in this amazing, unique position to design and put out product for that kidult market, what we call the adult collector market, on the other side of the internet screen. And it's simply because the tooling. It's the Lego pieces. They recognize that Lego pieces, and they're very clear about this in a lot of their promotional materials. You can see some of their internal presentations to stockholders on YouTube, and they're fascinating to watch because they talk about Lego as if it's Play-Doh, as if it's clay. They don't say Play-Doh. They say clay, modeling clay. It just happens to be stiff plastic and, in brick form. But the idea is that you could make anything out of it. And recently, Lego has been very deliberately acquiring brands and recreating sets, not only that appeal to the adult, but the adult toy fan, I guess you could say, but also recognizing that the Lego experience is unlike other toy categories like doll collecting or action figure collecting. It's much more about the joy of creating. And Legos don't have that stigma that they're only for kids anymore. And now you're seeing full-scale pieces of art being sold that you could recreate, or 90s sitcoms. I mean, what child is going to want to create Jerry Seinfeld's living room? And Stranger Things, well, yes, it's had an end cap in the toy section at Target, is a very much adult-oriented show. I don't really think young kids should be watching shows where people get eaten and turned into all sorts of stuff. And Lego's also been able to take advantage of its vast tooling bank to create sets that actually challenge people and are actually more difficult to put together, as well as doing expanded licensing sets at higher price points. All of it comes down to the fact that putting out product aimed at the adult market, and in this case, sort of the adult builder market, the craft, the adult that likes to make things, well, it's the same tooling they have in their kid line. They don't have to spend extra money on new pieces. Occasionally, yes, there are some new pieces, but even with this thing like the Colosseum, one of the biggest sets ever made, well, yeah, they tool about 10 new pieces, but you can see they get used over and over again. It's not like every piece has to get tooled. You only have to have one tool, and it can pop out as many of the same Lego piece as needed. And that really is the key of why Lego, uniquely amongst all toy makers, has been able to put out more product aimed at the adult market than any other toy company. It's not that, they smell the money or that, they're uniquely positioned. It's that it's simply adults love building. Lego never stopped. It's a unique experience. And the brand, the name, Kleenex, Xerox, it's, become ubiquitous with the actual play pattern. Even though it is now in public domain and anyone could make Lego blocks, well, the original and the name brand is the one that adults are still emotionally connected to. And the fact that they have been able to embrace the adult collector market so much really positions them for a lot of added value. And I think what they're doing, if this trend continues, we're going to see some really, really innovative stuff. I mean, it's the first time we've ever seen flat art that you want to build out of Legos sold at mass retail. This is an entirely new concept. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely kids that will enjoy doing this, but from the selection of properties, which range from superheroes to Sith Lords to, 1960s musicians, well, which one of those three probably is mostly going to sell to adults? And if you said Sith Lord, you're definitely right, because every adult loves Darth Vader. So, yeah, we're in a whole new world, and Lego adult toy sets, and I'm really excited to see where they go because it's a big market. It is, it is a worthwhile market. It's just, it's tough to chase it. But with Lego, they don't have a tooling problem. Let me know what you think. Are you an adult Lego collector? Do you build with Lego? Do you make your own? Do you build the sets? Do you have fond memories? I definitely do. Lego is a big part of my childhood. Let me know in the comments below. Share this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.